and we have two plates that are identical to each other, I'm going to just look at which one has the least amount of imperfections and use that as the underbelly, and then use the one that has the most perfections as the actual the inside of the robot. So let's get started. So according to this picture, we mount these with this little line here that you see. We mount those downward. Now it looks like this will go mounted as such there. So what I'm going to try to do is see how these are going to get mounted. So let's see. These don't stand up, so let's start screwing these in by hand. I like to do that by hand just because it's simple. And it's actually nice because these actually have, it looks like they have a little nut there. Try not to scratch this. Now, I'm not saying it scratches up, but from my experience, you know, this is not the natural color of the metal, most likely. So you want to make sure that you don't scratch it too much so that it looks nice. Doesn't really mean anything, but you know, oftentimes you want to make your robot look nice, and you might want to present it to somebody. It's better nice than not. So I'm not really doing much here. I'm just kind of screwing these in. Not putting them too tight, but then again, I'm not making them loose either. Just screwing them in. So as you can see, there was one. That was really simple. Screws right in, and it's pretty sturdy actually. So I'm going to continue to do that. Looks like I'll have to do that all around. Remember that your motor mounts are going to go out here, so do not mount your sensor mounts here. I'm going to first just mount the sensor mounts, and then I'll go from there. Now these screws take the smaller of the hex of the Allen keys. So the larger one will be used for something else down the road. Or maybe we got lucky and we got a free Allen key. Nice thing is that this, you know, I was kind of a bit scared that this was going to take a lot of screws here, and that this was going to take a while. We built a robot kit not too long ago where all we had were screws, and we just have to we spent most of our time actually screwing things in and not actually demonstrating or showing how quickly we could put it together. We wound up not doing that review, obviously, because the review just wasn't entertaining. Too many screws, too many things, too many moving parts. I'll save the vendor the embarrassment. So at this point, I've been able to stand this up now. This might be a little bit easier for me. Looks like just the first two or three get the challenge, and then after that it becomes a little bit simpler. So again, I'm just kind of screwing these in with my hand instead of doing them like I was doing the other ones, simply because it's easier for me, and I'll just do one pass, and now we'll go ahead and tighten them all up at once. I don't think we have to be scared either about which black screws to use, because it's pretty obvious from the kit. They're the only ones that are this size that'll actually work. And it's clear you're going to need many of these, so as we can see, there's 5, 7, so 7, 2, it's 14, so we're probably going to need about 28 screws, and that looks about right there. So these are tightened in there now. I'm going to tighten them in with the Allen key. Again, these things don't have to be too tight. Just don't get concerned about it being super tight or not, because you know, you're not taking this off-road, you're not doing wheelies, you're not jumping this thing anywhere. It's not going to be falling down a flight of stairs, hopefully. Although I think with this construction it might be able to last. Just don't know about your circuitry and your controllers and your sensors. If you're anything like I am and you make a robot, you start pushing it to its limits and you make it do things that it's not supposed to do to see what happens. So we've screwed in all the sensor mounts, and as you can see, pretty straightforward. Didn't take us that long. So let's keep going here. Now we have 2 more to screw in, and those are the motor mounts. Now, according to the picture, it says orient motor mount plates so that one screw hole is close to the lower chassis plate. So, I'm assuming it's this one here. Notice how that one's lower, as you can see from the picture, that's what it is. And it actually points it forward, so I'm going to point it forward also. Or backwards, sorry. I'm going to point that one backwards. And I'm also going to flip this upside down. Just give me a second here as I line this up. We are lined up. So my theory was right. This scratches easily. I just kind of scratched this metal with my finger. But that's typically the case with aluminum. Scratches everywhere. Now this is black. But it appears to rub right off. So that's one motor mount. Putting that on there. Now I'm going to flip this around. Get the other motor mount here. Make sure I'm doing this right. Looks right to me. So there you have it. We've gone ahead, we've screwed it all in. It was pretty simple actually. I was surprised. Now the last part of this step 1 is to actually screw in the StingRay tail wheel mount plate. So how does this go? So I'm going to spin this around. It looks like this right here is going to be pointing downward. And there it goes. That was pretty simple. Again, it's all the same height, so I could probably flip this upside down like I was doing all the other ones. And just kind of roll this sucker into place. So there we go. It's all plugged in, it's ready to go, and we're good. Now, we've completed step 1. Step 2. Step 2, we're actually going to start mounting some things here. Clearly, we're going to be mounting the motors. So that's usually pretty simple. It's usually 1 to 3 screws in most robot kits that we've built. Just depends on how many motors you have to mount. Your basic standard 7.2 volt, 310 RPM motors. Nothing crazy. Very simple. Looks like it's easy to connect. So we should have some interesting times with this. And let's see here. And we have the second. So these are actually going to go inside these holes here and here. Just like so. There are holes on this side here, and those will clearly get mounted in there. Now from what it looks like, this is going to be the top portion. So look at this. This axle here is actually a little bit skewed or offset, so it's going to be up here. That's what we're going to mount on the top. So, and in fact when I look at it, that's exactly how it